Built in the 517 is a podcast about the people who make our local business community what it is. In each episode, host Katrina Hofstetter sits down with business owners from across mid-Michigan to hear their stories, their challenges, and what it really takes to build something from the ground up. The show exists to spotlight local leaders, support small businesses, and strengthen the connections that keep our communities thriving. Here's your host, Katrina Hofstetter.
Welcome. I'm your host, Katrina Hofstetter, and this is Built in the 517, the podcast that brings stories that inspire you, encourage you, and introduce you to your next favorite local business. My guest today is Jeff Croff, the owner of Homebrew Tabletop Game Lounge in Grand Ledge. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for inviting me. Although I should clarify, co-owner with my wife.
Of course, we can't miss that. So your business is one of the newer ones that I've had as a guest on the show. You just opened your store about 3 years ago as this really unique kind of third space in your community. Can you share a little bit about the inspiration behind turning this idea into reality?
Sure. So my wife and I have always been gamers. One of the things that we would do every year is go down to Indianapolis for the largest gaming convention in North America. There's about 70,000 people that attend every year. It's a 4-day event. It's just this wild, 24 hours every day. You could go and be gaming, find out about gaming things and all of that. So when you leave, you're sleep deprived. You're a little hopped up on caffeine, and so we're driving back from Indianapolis, and all of those things are going on, and we're feeling excited. We're like, what would you do if you had $1 million?
Yeah.
And so we're kind of blue sky mining and going along, rolling down the highway, and about an hour into it, we both realize it's no longer an abstract of if we had $1 million, but that we would do it if the other one would do it. I would do it if you would. Okay. And so the rest of the trip back from Indianapolis was researching URLs and parking domain names. And then we started doing the research.
So lack of sleep, caffeine equals business. I love it.
It equals a lot of work to plan for a business. I'm not sure if it ready people to business at that point.
Where did the dog with the hat logo come into the story?
Two-part. One, when we decided we were going to create a game lounge, we knew we didn't want to immediately code as a game shop or as sort of like that space that we've all driven by where there's fluorescent lights and probably folks that may or may not consider axe the actual cleaning utensil. And so we intentionally, by name and by design, wanted a space that almost anyone could come into and feel like, oh, this is where I want to be.
Okay.
So along with that is we went kind of even on the branding side to an old-timey sort of font. Then always being a gaming place reminded us of the dogs playing poker.
Mm-hmm.
And so that then transitioned to a good friend of mine who did all of the graphics work for the logo and such, had also been my neighbor for a long time. And he watched my English setter running around the backyard every day, just hurtling around, having his best life, never seemed to ever slow down. And so when we started playing around with it dog, hat, poker, right. There we go.
Nice. I haven't been in yet, but do you have a picture of the dogs playing poker on the wall somewhere?
So again, being a little askew, our pictures of dogs gaming is actually of them playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, I love it. Okay. My assistant Beth would love that as well. Yep.
So immediately when you walk in, it's got that same, color scheme, same feel. So you think, oh, it's dogs playing poker. And then you kind of wander into it and you're like, oh.
I like it. So let's talk a little bit more about how it works to come into the lounge and play games. You have a combination of like hourly rate packages and memberships. Share a little bit for the viewers about how to come in and play.
So just the average first-time user comes in. Typically what they're going to do is they're going to game for either under 2 hours or over 2 hours. Under 2 hours, it's $5 a person. They could bring in their own games, or they could pull games from over 700 games in our library. whatever kind of capacity they want. And then it's over 2 hours, it's $10 a person. So if they find that they're going to be here more often than, say, twice a month, then the memberships become a means for them to save money because that's unlimited play. And then, we actually go to annual memberships, which then reduce those costs again. Now, say you and your significant other are looking to actually go out and relax, maybe get away from the kids or just get away from the stress of a week, the work week. A date night package would be 2 shareable snacks, Michigan-made snacks, I should point out, 2 non-alcoholic drinks, and unlimited gameplay. So you and your significant other could come in at noon and play until midnight on our weekends.
Wow. So I know you're not open on Mondays and Tuesdays, right?
Right.
So for the date night package, is there like a ideal night to come? I know a lot of dates might be on the weekend because that's when it's easy, but is there a night where it's like, oh, this is the perfect night for date night to come in when it's not super busy?
I would say Thursday nights. Thursday nights would be really the time if you're like looking for it to be really chill. There's not going to be a lot of folks in there. That's currently our day of work that we're working on to go and increase the number of folks there.
Okay. All right. I will share that with my husband. So we can bring our own games, but you do have a huge selection. I saw the list on your website. What would you say are some of the more popular games? Does it happen to be what's right behind you, or is that just where you happen to sit?
Oh, that's where I sat because the lighting was working. But in our classic section, believe it or not, Battleship or Guess Who tend to be like by far the most popular over there. Although Clue comes a close third. In our more hobby game mindset, Ticket to Ride, Catan, or Settlers of Catan, depending on when you learn the name of the game, tend to be very popular. Hues and Clues for a party game, code names, and Wavelength are great on the party game side.
Okay. So if you had to pick one board game, and I know that you broke them down into different categories. I was thinking like board game versus card game. But what would be your favorites?
Oh, so again, you're right. It does break down depending on how much time do we have and who is it we're playing the game with. I think one that I always point to for folks that either have a limited amount of time or just want to be able to dive into the game quickly is the board game Imhotep. It's one of the few games that we own a copy of at home. So when the family comes to visit on the holidays or what have you, we actually pull that out and play. It's got simple rules. About 15 minutes in, you could be up and playing and be done in about an hour. And so that one's a great one. And folks don't get overwhelmed by all the choices because there's a limited amount of choices. So they can just get up and play. But certainly code names, if you've just got folks coming to the table and then playing the guessing game, you can divide up into teams. It moves pretty quickly.
Yeah. I noticed in looking at not just your list of games, but just looking at your website, there's a particular game that seems to be banned. And I'm just curious, why does Monopoly get such a bad rap?
Well, one, I think it's earned it.
Okay.
2, when we started talking about creating this space, most of our friends who aren't gamers were really trying to, you could just see them the gears running and then trying to wrap their minds around what is it you're talking about. And have Jeff and Sadonna completely lost their minds, and this is a model that can work. And so invariably they would get back to like Monopoly. Yeah, sort of. But I mean, there's a lot that's happened in the last 100 years in games that are probably better evolutions to it. Yeah. So then it became a punchline about no Monopoly. The other side of that, quite candidly, in a more realistic way and less quippy, is that everyone has a different way that they play Monopoly and have different sets of rules that they think exist.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the arbiter of any of those rules. So we'd much rather you guys just sit down and do your thing. You can bring Monopoly in. We just won't actually be the ones that help support the rules with that because we don't want our tables flipped. We don't want to create acrimony between friends, family. So we're just going to, let that one go.
Right. What I was thinking when I saw that was those games can go on forever. And I've heard of some families who it's out on the dining room table for like a week. That doesn't really work when you close at midnight or whatever.
It doesn't. Although, again, I always tell folks, length of game really isn't kind of the problem here. We've got some games that are 5 or 15 minutes, but we also have games that will last 12 hours. It's not so much the time commitment on that. It's that most folks actually don't know the rules.
I'm one of them. I don't follow the rules in Monopoly.
And the other side is again, after 100 years of game, theory and game mechanics out there, the randomness of Monopoly and all of that, there are so many other games that allow you to be a landowner. Go ahead and play the capitalist sort of game,
Right.
but the mechanics are smoother, cleaner, and move along faster.
Right. So you, in addition to the, people coming and going and playing games, you've got some events. I saw some different events on the calendar. Dungeons and Dragons seems to be a pretty popular draw. You've got like adult versions, youth versions. I'm guessing that you and maybe your wife like D&D.
We do. We do
Okay.
absolutely. Certainly, I've been a D&D gamer all the way back until middle school. So we got to enjoy all of the Satanic Panic and all of the other wonderful times that people were convinced that heavy metal and D&D were suddenly, some sort of deep, dark,
Yeah.
path to something awful. But part of the reason for the prevalence of those events as far as role-playing games is a lot of times folks are trying to find a group of folks to get involved with for that
Yeah.
because we also on a weekly basis will have 2 or 3 learn games going on as well
Okay.
as on the board game side, so you can learn the game, play the game, or in some cases I've got folks that show up like, I can't find a time when anyone else is playing this game, so I'm going to play this. I
Right.
know how to play it, and they're helping me do the teach at that point, but they just love that game and they want to play it.
That's cool. I noticed you have a kind of a unique way of getting people to come in maybe and play with other strangers. You've got like these little, you call them meeples, where
Yes.
they can be put out where people are playing games. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. So, one, the meeple idea comes from there's a couple different board games that have had little human-shaped
Yeah.
pawns for a long time. Carcassonne is really kind of like the originator in a lot of that, and they're referred to as meeples because they look vaguely people-like, but they're
Yeah.
not. Back to Sadonna and I going to a lot of the gaming conventions, in the game libraries that they have at the conventions and such, they often have some mechanic for letting you know that, hey, I just want to play this game and I need just a couple more folks to make it really good. Because sometimes it really can be a game that you and I could play and that'd be fun. But it's even more fun if you can get like 5 or 6 folks playing the same game, and now all the mechanics and all the strategies are hitting. So we sort of extrapolated from there, and we created the meeples: a red, a yellow, and a green. The green actually is to let folks know that we're looking for additional players. So
Okay.
you're not started yet. You could still get in. You're not going to be playing catch up. The yellow is really representing we have probably started, but we will teach you this game because we want to see you next time to be able to play this game, and more players is better. So
Right.
that we go for that, and then the red meeple is actually just to go and say, hey, maybe we don't want to hear about how great your D&D character is doing right now. We just want to sit down and play a game. I haven't
Yeah.
seen a friend, my significant other, in a long time. We just want to have a little quiet time. The first 2 are because we're from the Midwest, so we don't want to be rude, so we
Mhm.
want that offer to be invited in.
Right.
And the red's because we're gamers and social cues are sometimes a problem.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's a great idea. When I saw them in one of the pictures, I was like, oh, they just look like little game pieces. And then I noticed that you had information about them. So I think it's a really great way of inviting community beyond just having people come into the lounge. You're really encouraging people to try to branch out and be social. And I like that.
Oh, and
Um,
we've been very fortunate that we even the online community we've created with our Discord channel that happens as well.
wow.
We'll have folks that say, "Hey, I'm going to be in Lansing on Sunday, and I'm bringing X, Y, and Z. Stop on in."
Yeah.
And folks will coordinate there. Or we've had folks build gaming groups for like Daggerheart, which is a new role playing game system. They've been meeting on a monthly basis, but none of them knew each other until they via the Discord that we created.
Yeah.
They then could do the games meetup.
Yeah. That's cool. You mentioned something earlier. So in addition to games and the gaming events, you've got snacks and drinks available. And I love that you collaborate with local or at least Michigan made products and drink companies. Can you share a little bit about some of those partnerships that you have?
Sure. So between the name Homebrew, so you got home in the name, and also to just differentiate, we're in a block where one of our neighbors who've been wonderfully welcoming to be here are also have been here 115 plus years now, selling,
Wow.
beer and spirits just down the street.
Yeah.
So for us, the Michigan made products not only made sense from our name, but also made sense in differentiating folks can get on North Bridge Street. So
Okay.
for us, the majority, well, all of our pops are Michigan made, but the majority of our non-alcoholic drinks are Michigan made. Our teas blended down in Livonia, our coffee's roasted and whole, but then all of our beers and ciders are Michigan made, and the majority of our spirits are. So we've got New Holland from the west side. We've got Detroit City Distillery from the east side. We've got Gypsy Vodka from up north. So we've got all over the state. And then we've got our snacks, which are as close as Cravings in Old Town
Yeah.
and Lansing to Pop Daddy Pretzels from Howell or chips from Traverse City.
Very cool. I also saw that you have a partnership with Arms and Embers, which I wasn't familiar with them. Can you share a little bit about like going beyond just snacks and what you can have ordered in from there?
Sure. So wonderfully, shortly after we opened at our location, Arms and Embers opened immediately below us on the first floor. Now, I should clarify with that too, because everyone here's second floor and here's a lot of stairs. We actually have entrance directly to our location from the rear of the building via our deck with handicap accessible parking. I always want to make sure to mention that because if you came in from the front, you have to be part Billy Goat because there's about 28 stairs that you have to walk up. But wonderfully, Arms and Embers is willing to walk up those stairs and bring their full menu upstairs, folks order. So you can be playing games, they'll deliver the food up. Part of that is a collaboration that we promote each other back and forth. It just makes sense for us, but it also is a nice convenience for our guests to be able to get full offering of burgers, fries, salads, that sort of thing that can
Yeah.
be delivered up.
I love that. I love seeing businesses work together like that. So before we pivot and talk about kind of the business ownership side of things, I just had one last question I wanted to ask you that's more about just the community and how the business has been growing. So from the perspective of all these people coming in, playing games, what would you say has been really the most surprising part about coming into this community and starting this business?
So I think the most surprising part is certainly the stereotype of people who play games
Mm-hmm.
is that it's going to skew more heavily male and quite possibly skew more heavily south of 30 or even south of 25 as far
Okay.
as age. Our average age for customer is about 33, and we skew more heavily female to about 58 to 60% female versus male.
Okay.
Um, and we're really proud of that in that we think it does point to how we've tried to create a space that folks can feel welcome and it's comfortable and safe in. And it's not your typical just game shop trying to sell a lot of cardboard and probably awkwardly acknowledging your existence when you walk in.
Gotcha. I love to hear that. There was an opportunity sometime last year where I was going to go to a women's group meeting and they were hosting at your location. So it definitely there is a draw for not just that 25 and under male crowd. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about being a business owner. And I'm just wondering, what has that experience been like for you and your wife to start this business up and go on this adventure together?
Sure. So I think the big thing has been learning how much we don't know each day. So when we finally finished the build out and we were ready to open, we didn't know what hours would work.
Okay.
So we were open all of the hours. We started out at 7 days a week, about 12 hours a day. Well, mostly because we didn't know what the audience would be. We also mistakenly believed that folks would have heard about us from all the promotions we were doing to get there. So it's probably not a good analysis about whether folks would want to come in earlier in the day or not that we thought it would teach us. And so for the first year, we were 7 days a week. And we certainly carved off hours. We got rid of the AM hours. Wonderfully, Toads is right around the next door to us. So trying to compete on the coffee shop side really didn't make any sense. And also, our focus is on you being here. So we don't even have takeout cups or things for
Right.
folks to walk away with. It just wasn't a good model for folks that needed to grab coffee and go. We'd always end up being a destination location. We didn't really worry about walk up traffic. Walk up would be great, but that was going to always be supplemental.
Yeah.
So for us, 85 to 90% of our guests are from more than 15 miles away.
Okay.
So we draw, I mean, even as we celebrated our third anniversary on Saturday, I had a group that came up from Warren, Michigan, who've been keeping an eye on us, been trying to make plans, and like, well, we saw it was the anniversary, so we decided to finally, come up and go. The Friday prior, I had about 24 gentlemen that we've been very fortunate that they make us their destination once a month, and they come from both the west side of the state and the east side of the state and play all day, large strategy games.
That's
so
cool.
Yeah, it's been very cool and very, very gratifying in that is that folks are finding us intentionally.
Right. It's not easy growing a business. Like you said, you started out this 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Where have you found support along the way besides just, the two of you?
So for us last year, we were part of an accelerator with LEAP, Lansing Economic Area Partnership.
Yep.
That allowed us to get access to some advertising dollars. We actually also got new signage out front on the street, but also being on North Bridge Street. I don't know if it's because many of us are new or because even Preston's is so old, but there's a certain chip on the shoulder that folks seem to forget that north of the bridge actually exists.
Sure.
So wonderfully, a lot of the other businesses that like Toad's opened just a little bit before we did. Preston's has been a long time, but then many others opened while we were going in the process. We've made an effort to encourage folks to take note that you can go across the river and still have a good day.
I like that. So as a fellow business owner, where do you feel like you still need support and how can other businesses continue to support the lounge?
For us, I think part of that becomes being an option for folks that are doing team building and or other events. We absolutely are not your sophisticated your bow tie kind of evening out, but we've found we've had a lot of businesses enjoy us as a team building experience because we have games that go all the way from truly cutthroat competitive to cooperative games. And now you've got to find out who actually can communicate in a brief period of time. And then you go and you actually use that in a lot of ways to fine tune how you've got your professional growth for some folks when you realize, they do have a little bit of a problem working in a team.
Yeah. Communicating, listening. There's a lot of things that come out in gameplay. So I hadn't even thought about utilizing a space like that for team building, but that's a great idea. So have you had businesses that have come in and used it for that purpose?
Oh yeah, very much so. But again, that's one of those things that, for us, we kind of keep trying to grow and pursue because the strength hours were not normally open.
Right. Okay.
And so for us, that allows us to expand, how optimized the space usage is and kind of go from there. Like I said, we've been very fortunate. The businesses locally have helped a lot in just when shared posts. We've been, back and forth trying to do the things that are the least time consuming and least cost intensive, but ways that all of us can kind of support and encourage. Strangely, I've got 3 out of the 4 businesses that are immediately close by. One of the primaries is named Chris in each one of them, but all the Chris's have been great to share the post. Chris at My Rural Records has been awesome in making sure that he's got our flyers, making sure that we know that he's got a big event coming up. You better get me more flyers, or hey, I'm going to be going to an event. I'll take your flyers with you. I mean, it's not a huge time commitment. It doesn't have to do it at all, but it's one of those ways that the small businesses can kind of support and encourage each other without taking bandwidth of already probably stretched time.
Right. Yeah. I think that, when you can do things like that, when you can share posts, when you can, share the information, it goes a long way. I think you're in this unique space, literally, like you said, north of the bridge, where you do all have something in common. You've all got these new businesses or newer businesses, and a lot of them sound very complementary. So it's probably natural for you guys to work together like that. I'm envisioning that you guys could do like a north of the bridge event where, everybody comes together and it's like kind of a pub crawl type of thing, but not literally, you know.
Right,
Um,
right. Well, quite candidly, we've even promoted this every summer as it goes. You could go and park at the parking garage at the rear of our building and start out at 8 a.m. and you could spend your entire day in Grand Ledge, never driving again,
yeah.
and get breakfast, get lunch, get coffee, relax, play games. Heck, head over to In Good Hands Massage
Mhm.
and get a massage, in the middle of the afternoon, and then even go all the way if it's all adults till 2 a.m. Preston's we're open till midnight most days, so you can actually make it an entire day. You've only had to drive to one spot,
Right.
and you'll have multiple restaurants. You'll and you won't even have gone south of the bridge yet.
Right. That's so cool. So we've talked about a lot of really great things and successes and all of the partnerships and that's amazing to hear about, but there's always hurdles. There's always, things that we try and they fail. So I'm just curious, the last 3 years and a couple of days, what is a hurdle that you faced that you maybe could share about and it would inspire someone who's just starting their journey?
I think the hurdle that I continue to have to be reminded of is no matter how many times you've told people, no matter how many times your friends or your peers have gone and heard you say X about your business,
Mhm.
most people don't know about your business. For us, we've got a wonderful deck out back. We did music all last summer. We did partially the summer before, and it's an underutilized space. Now
Okay.
here we think we're doing all the promotions. We've got you get the events up on our social media, we get them on our calendar, we get them, in our Discord, and still, the logistics of a weeknight, maybe folks don't have time to come out,
Yep.
or maybe they're not really the music folks because we don't necessarily have an overlap between our folks that are gaming and the
Yep.
folks that want to hang out outdoors and enjoy a drink and and some music. But that one's always one I have to keep reminding myself when I get frustrated when there are five people on the deck listening to music, is that I may not have found the right audience yet
Yeah.
to make aware of and go from there.
Yeah.
No matter how many times it feels like I've already said it.
Yeah, that's
um,
good. I mean, you can't stop promoting. You maybe you have to find a new avenue for it. Maybe you have to find a different audience and how you're going to reach out to them, but we can't just coast at some point. We have to continue.
no, and even details about homebrew. I feel like I've all the time I've beaten it to death. Oh yeah, we have Michigan made product.
Yeah.
I've still got folks that have been aware of us for 3 years that come in and, oh, when did you get alcohol? We've had alcohol since the October of our first year.
Right.
So it's an ongoing thing to kind of go back and touch on the same stuff. Oh, you asked about the game rental models. How does that work? I know how it does. I've been telling folks every day, but
Yeah.
so many folks don't know, and they're a little intimidated because they walk in and they're afraid to ask.
Yeah.
The other side, I think, is I think a lot of times when you're running a small business, even like us, where it's a very retail focused, interactive kind of
Mhm.
thing, you forget how lonely or isolating it can be as you're worrying about, oh, it's 7 a.m. and I'm going to go and do some computer work. No one's noticing that. No one, I mean, and no one's giving you a gold star for it. It's just the work that you have to do. You don't necessarily have your own cheering team,
Yeah.
encouraging you to do that. And as much as my wife and I absolutely try to, be the cheerleaders for each other, sometimes you're just both just kind of bogged down with all of that. And you need to just give yourself a little bit of space and grace to go and say,
Yeah, it's I'm in a similar situation. My husband works with me. He is full-time staff and he is very involved in, the inside, the inner workings of the business and budgets and things like that. But because I'm so involved, so head down, just, growing and building and running all the stuff in the background, he's really having to step up and do a lot more of the family side of things. So we both have this like these are our roles right now. And yeah, it can be a little bit lonely to feel like you're just doing all this stuff. And there's the kind of public facing side of what the business looks like and the things you're doing. And there's hopefully plenty of cheerleaders there. But when you're just sitting there going through the budget or paying the bills or figuring out the marketing. It's a sad place to be sometimes.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know we're laughing, but yeah, it is. It can be very tough at those times because there isn't anyone that's going to make you do it.
No.
And so, it's like the worst like January resolution that never ends.
Yes.
I've got to get up and work out again. I've got to
Yeah.
go do the books again. Aren't they done? Aren't they should have been done? I did them last week. Why do I have to
Right.
do them again?
That's such a great way of putting it. It's like a never-ending New Year's resolution that you didn't really want to do, but you have to do, or it all falls apart.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you guys definitely with, a family at home, that's very tough. So Sadonna and I, that was the one thing we may have been smart about in the whole process of doing a business is that all of our kids were out of high school by the time we got started. So we could take the risks,
Yep.
take the time sink that it was going to be, and we weren't going to be causing any kind of undue stress on the kids at the
Right.
same time.
Yeah, it's interesting running a business from home with young children. I realized the other day my youngest was sitting outside the office with some friends, and they're all like 6 and 7, 8 years old. And somebody said, "Does your mom own a business?" And my kid was like, "No." And I'm like, "How do you not realize I own it? What do you think I'm doing here?" And I said, "Sweetie, what the sign? You always hear me talk about Cornerstone Legal. Oh, I didn't realize that you owned it. Well, who do you think the boss is? Do you ever see anyone else around?" And the light bulb came on, and it was just, yeah. What do you think I've been doing this whole time?
There you go.
And it's definitely a different world to be running a business surrounded by the children. So
Sure.
made a smart move there.
Well, and again, especially just from the idea that it was going to be a lot of time and definitely evening time.
Yep.
I think that is the other thing that we were pretty honest with each other about that is that we knew that our time wasn't going to be ours. By the nature of our business, the timing couldn't be about what we wanted for timing. It had to be what the market wanted for timing.
Yep. That demand.
Which is not necessarily your favorite thing when it's Thursday night at 10:30 and you're like, oh, here we go still.
Yep. Another hour and a half to go. So do you guys have any future plans for expanding or any new products or anything
Sure.
like that?
So our goal is once again we've got all this model humming along, improving the concept is to go and open additional locations.
Okay.
Those will most likely, again, recognizing that would be a real tough thing to open anything nearby without cannibalizing what business we've got here. Yep. So it may be further afield than we would like. Then our ultimate goal is to, again, prove out the concept and, get the branding and the standard operating procedures all figured out to the point where we can then go and franchise out the model.
Wow, that's great. And I mean, I'm sure you've looked into it, but is there anything else like this out there, like even just in the Michigan area?
So there's one truly comparable game lounge, game bar over in Grand Rapids. House Rules in Grand Rapids, near the city market. It's a great place. They were wonderful. They were provided all kinds of info when we were getting ready to open up because they've been open about a year and a half longer than we have. There are other places that pop up or attempt to like rebrand as lounges that may or may not be analogous. That a lot of the game shops, like I said, have tables. They always kind of welcoming folks, everything. But for us, the model that we're trying to do can certainly cause folks to self-select because there's a cost to play. That many of the game shops have historically just kind of gambled that, oh, we're not going to charge you and you're going to be here and you're going to buy things. The use case doesn't make any sense to me as far as utilities, staffing, everything else. You're doing that and you're betting that folks like 1 out of 4 times are buying something there. So for me, that, I don't find them necessarily to be the comparable.
Sure.
Complementary, certainly. I always use the kind of the analogy of, if you wanted to eat Chinese, you could go to an Asian market and buy all the ingredients and make it at home. That's a game shop.
Yep.
Or you could just say, I don't feel like cooking today,
Yep.
and go to the restaurant. And that's kind of where we fit into that space.
Okay.
Both of them are absolutely and kind of important to the whole ecosystem, but they don't compete inherently.
Yep, I understand.
But nationally, there's 3 or 4 franchised game cafes, game lounges that exist right now.
Wow. Okay. This is exciting to watch you guys grow in this way and potentially franchise in the future. That's great. Other than any of the regular like D&D events, things that are on the calendar, do you have any unique events coming up? Anything that's kind of a one-time thing?
So we just mentioned celebrated our 3rd anniversary this last Saturday. So we had a Bang tournament folks could sign up for, and they won an annual membership for the winner of the Bang tournament. Bang is a spaghetti Western card game. So you get to gather around the table and have a shootout with, dozens of your closest friends. So coming up, we've got summer camps coming up that we've got available. We last year was the first year we launched those, and a chance for kids that are either already into role-playing games or maybe want to try them for the first time. Get a week-long summer camp for that. Otherwise, well, like I said, we always have Learn-A-Games, going on. Check our calendar, check Facebook or Discord. And standing Learn-A-Game is 1:00 on Sunday. Regardless of what game it'll be, there'll always be a game at 1:00 on Sunday. But then, folks are encouraged to just reach out and find out more.
Okay. What are the ages for the summer camps?
So we've got it broken up. We've got 9 to 12, and then we also have a 13 through 18. For folks that way we find the middle schoolers need their own sort of session.
Yeah.
Both because they're not going to be terribly focused, and 2, the high schoolers may just really wish they would go away.
Mm-hmm. I have one of each of those. I have a 9-year-old and an almost 14-year-old, and I can't imagine them going to the same summer camp. So good call on that. Yeah. So as we close up today, every guest has an opportunity if they want to offer a promotion or a giveaway. Would you like to share with the viewers what you guys are going to offer for the winner?
Sure. We're going to offer a 1-month Elite Gamer Family Pass. So that allows up to 4 people to be named onto the pass with unlimited free gaming for a month.
Okay, wonderful. What we'll do is we'll ask if viewers want to participate in that. They just have to like and share the post about the video. That could be on YouTube where it gets published, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, wherever they've seen it. And then we'll randomly draw a winner. We'll share that with you in the days after. So thank you so much for taking time today. I know that it wasn't during business hours, but it's still time is valuable. So thank you for joining me today and sharing about your business.
Well, I appreciate the invite. It was a lot of fun.
Good. If you're watching and you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, or you'd like to nominate another business, you can email Beth at cornerstonelegalpllc.com. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Built in the 517. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel today and support local businesses in the 517 and hear more inspiring stories.